What the f?
I didn't do any recording earlier for the privacy of the original owners of this Pilot, but I bought this earlier and I just picked it up tonight. So here it is. I bought another Pilot. Am I in the right place here? Yeah. This one is also 2003, like the last few that I've owned. Woohoo, big speed bump there. And one owner, as you heard me say, 137,000 miles. I don't remember what the other one I just flipped back in like May had for mileage. I want to say it had 124 or something like that. It's a little bit more on this, but still pretty low for the year. This one, unlike the other one, has pretty much zero issues. It's ready to sell. No check engine light, no misfire, meticulous service records. I saw it listed on Craigslist over the weekend for $1,500, which is already pretty cheap for a Pilot. You know, typically these sell for around $2,500 to $3,500 bucks, you know, for an 03, 04, this earlier variation of the Pilot. And as I reached out to the seller, I knew that I could tell right away just by where they had it listed as and the background and the pictures, they were in a very nice area. And I love cars that come from nice areas because generally they're very well maintained. And generally the people that own them have enough money that they'll let them go cheap. They just want them gone. So I reached out, said, when can I come see it? And the seller said on Monday. And today is Monday, and I came and saw it. And, you know, it has some issues, but nothing major at all. I could sell this car right now the way it sits. But I want to get a few things on it a little bit better before I do. I like to, you know, when things leave my dealership, I like them to be as nice as possible. You know, some things on an older vehicle, cosmetically, it would just be silly to do them, but there's some things in this vehicle that need attention. Good tread in the tires, I'd say 50% Michelin's all around, just like the last one, actually. They both have Michelin tires on them. And they're both the same color, same year, same interior color. These things just come to me. I don't know what it is. But the biggest thing about this Pilot that I love and I'm very excited about, and it's one of the reasons I bought it, is it has a replaced transmission. It was done at 80,000 miles at the Honda dealership. And Honda covered half the cost. So you know a genuine Honda unit went in this vehicle. Again, the service records, they just spent, not even a month ago, $500 replacing 2 window regulators. And what do you think I offered for the whole vehicle? They were asking $1,500. The timing belt was done at 80,000 miles. I offered $500. You guys know me. And they were very shrewd negotiators. It's not like they were taken advantage of or anything like that. They really, we went back and forth for a while. We eventually agreed to $950. That was the absolute lowest I could get them to go. It was a tricky negotiation, but we agreed at $950, and I'm very happy with that. And you're with me now for the first drive. I mean, I drove it around in their neighborhood, but this is the first drive. Never had it over 20 miles an hour. And as I expected, everything works as it should. It drives straight. It drives pretty tight. Again, it drives like a 130,000 mile car, a little bit of play. But the ball joints and stuff all checked out. The transmission shifts perfectly. The AC is ice cold. Everything works. This was a good buy at $950. I think it's going to need a few small things. Got a little dent in the fender over there. I can probably pop right out. The clear coat's starting to go on the hood. I'll probably be able to restore it. It's not too bad. But the biggest issue cosmetically with this car is the rear seat, because they were out of town for like a month and the rear window regulator failed and the window fell down. And our summers are very rainy here in Miami. You can see everything's wet. It rained recently. And it just rained inside this interior for a month. Totally destroyed the back seat. It's all nasty, it smells disgusting, and the leather's all destroyed on it. As for the rest of the seats, another reason I was so happy about this Pilot, she redid them over the years, because these Honda Pilot seats never hold up. And she replaced the leather as they wore out. She had them reupholstered. So this interior, aside from that one rear seat, it's not even the whole bench, just the small passenger side section, which I can pop that out and get another one at the junkyard. And usually the back seats are in pretty decent shape. It's the front seats that go. They have all the sun exposure. But anyway, this interior, I mean, it just needs that seat change. The carpets are immaculate. No cockroaches like the last one. And the exterior, besides that dent in the fender and giving it a good buff and polish, it'll clean right up. It's never been in an accident. Anyway, I want to show you guys when I get back to my shop and get a better look at it. So I'm here at LKQ. Unfortunately, my location down in Miami closed permanently. Can't believe I've been going there for years. And that's been a very fundamental part of my business and my hobby. Just the same, having those parts cheap, quick, and accessible right down the street. But now they closed up. And the next closest one's up in Broward, which if you're from South Florida, you know that driving from Broward to Dade or Dade to Broward feels like driving to another state. So anyway, there's my little rant. Fortunately, this just came in yesterday, and by chance I checked this morning just to see if there's any more pilots that have come in recently. And we're in good shape. We've got a rear seat here, the light gray color I need. It's in pretty good shape. There's no tears, just light cracking in the dye of the leather, which is not a big deal. I'm gonna go ahead and yank that out right now. Let me get to work here. I guess let's see. We got, obviously, I think they're, if I remember correctly, 14mm bolts. I'm gonna have to get a flathead to pop these covers off. I think they're 14s, 2 in the front here and 2 in the back to get this rear seat out. And I may do further disassembly from there. It's like I was saying, we got 14s. And they got to be smart about this, because at LKQ, they get you with the pricing. They tell you, oh, if you look on the website, it's $25 for a seat like this. But they'll charge you separately for each track, $6. They'll charge you for the headrest. I think it's like $7, $8. So it ends up adding up pretty quick. Now, my headrest is fine, and my tracks are fine. All I want is the seat. That's 2. I think there's actually 3 on each side. All right, so here's another example of just taking a few extra minutes to save quite a bit of money at a junkyard like LKQ. I don't need this entire door panel because my door panel's in good shape except for this part right here, this darker leather part. So instead of buying the whole door panel, I took this door panel off. You can see there's several Phillips screws that hold that part on, but I can detach it from the door panel. You can tell even, I mean, you can see the seams everywhere. So they'll probably charge me $5, maybe at the most $10 for this, versus I think a door panel is at least $20. So go ahead and take that off right now. So earlier you saw me at the junkyard. I picked up some parts for the Pilot. Only a couple things actually, really all it needs, at least cosmetically. The rear passenger seat, upper and lower half headrest is fine. I got that whole seat, because remember, I was telling you in the video, take the tracks off and I'll pay for them. I got the whole seat minus the tracks for 20 bucks. I didn't even have to pull the leather off, nothing. Usually I do all that, I just pay for the seat covers, but it wasn't really worth my time, like I was saying. So 20 bucks, that whole seat, you can't go wrong. If I left the tracks on it and the headrest, would have been like 40. And then I also got that piece right there, that leather trim piece for $8. Again, can't go wrong. The whole door panel would have been 20 something. Didn't need the whole door panel. The rest of it's fine. A little bit dirty from the water intrusion problem this Pilot had. The rest of the interior is in really good shape. It's just, I mean, there's a little stain of something there, but, you know, front seats, immaculate. They've been reupholstered before. The armrests have been reupholstered, so it's just that one seat. So I didn't want to leave it that way and sell it that way, because the rest of the truck is too nice inside. to leave a seat looking like that. And the smell too, it smells pretty funky because of that seat. So I'm gonna go ahead and take care of that now. It shouldn't take me more than 10 minutes or so to swap all that out. And then we've taken care of all the cosmetics on this Pilot, which is the only cosmetics. I'm gonna give it a buff and polish. That's pretty much it. I'll have to see. I might even just pressure wash it if it looks good enough. Leave it at that. But this one, like the last one I sold, has a little bit of paint fading, but the hood, this may clean up with a compound and polish. The roof is, I'd say, a lost cause. I'm not even sure I'll bother with that. And then the only real defect on the body, besides the paint issues, these headlights, I'll do my best to clean them up, give them the old buff treatment. Get this dent in the fender here. I may try to pop this out, but I don't think it's going to matter that much. I mean, we're not dealing with a $10,000, $15,000 SUV here. This for somebody is going to be a cheap work vehicle or cheap family mover, whatever, you know, around 3,000 bucks. So I don't think anybody is going to care too much about that. I mean, the rest of the truck, it's not in bad shape. I've got the Pilot badge. I feel like the eye used to be on here before too. Maybe that fell off, but I've got two badges, two Pilot badges for spares. I can throw one of them on there with some 3M tape. But yeah, I mean, it's not that bad otherwise. Just needs a bath. All right, so I've got the replacement seat in. I'm very happy that I brought extra hardware with me because this bolt, actually I think it's down here on the ground. Here it is. From when that window had been open, got pretty rusty and nasty, and I had to hammer on a, it was stuck really good. I had to hammer on a 13 millimeter. I don't know what happened to the head of this bolt, but I hammered on a 13 millimeter, and I was able to get it off with my with the leverage of this extension here. Yeah, so that's why I always grab the extra hardware. You just never know. You're buying the seat anyway. They're not charging you for the hardware. You may think you have it, you don't need it, but no, I took the extra bolts from this Pilot and I grabbed this seat from at the junkyard. So nice new bolt down there. I cleaned this metal up a bit. You can see it was pretty rusty on the carpet there. I just snugged those two bolts down in the back. So now I'm going to pop on these little covers again. If I can find the one that went here. It's got to be this guy. Throw that back on. And some of you may say, geez, Al, why don't you clean the carpet while you're down there? I mean, I did vacuum it while I had the seat out. It's the best time to do it. Again, a vehicle at this price point, unless the carpets are obscenely dirty, I usually don't bother with any stain removal. This grease, this is probably honestly for me taking it out at the junkyard because I had to keep putting it down while I was pulling other parts of other cars. But that stuff I'll take out because these are really clean in the back. Like nasty stuff like this, yeah, of course, I know that's like blood splatter or something. I'll clean that up, obviously. Little, quick, easy dirt to remove, but you know, a big stain here or there. It's an almost 20-year-old vehicle. It's not even worth the time. And no one even notices half the time. Most people, they look at a car like this, are reasonable. They know what they're getting. It's an older vehicle. There's going to be imperfections and stains and things. And they're just looking at the mechanical and making sure it's not a total hoopty inside. And that's it. Then they go on their way. But now you can see, got a nice third row. I'd say about equal wear amongst all these seats. No major damage like it had before. And now I'm going to go ahead and pop off the door card and change out this. I got lucky, it was just this one piece. Saved me a lot of money from buying the whole door panel. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. All right, I didn't really show it at the junkyard. So I'm going to show you now how to get one of these Pilot door panels off. Really easy. You take off the door handle, which you have to pull a little plate off. You'll see in there with a flathead, pop it out. There's two Phillips screws. Take the handle out a little bit, pop it off of the hook right there. Then with a flathead, you pop out the cup holder / window switch trim, and there's a Phillips screw right there. And then the one screw I always forget about, and I forgot about the junkyard earlier, but thankfully that was not my car, so I didn't damage my own door panel. But there's this third Phillips screw right here, this big hole. You can't miss it if you're looking for it, I guess. And then after that, you just go around with a trim tool, or if you're me, a flathead screwdriver, and pop out all the little pins. And there you go, door panel off. And now I'm going to, just like I did at the junkyard, take off the armrest underneath this not very thick insulating material here. Just a bunch of Phillips screws. There's at least 7 of them. And swap out that nasty armrest for the replacement back there. All right, there we go. Very easy project and really transformed this vehicle already. I mean, now you got an interior here that's in perfect condition for the year. Again, this stuff to be expected, but no tears in any seats at all. No interior door panel wear. There's the new armrest I put on from the junkyard, the $8 armrest, and I did clean up the door panel, got all that nastiness off of it. And the seat over here, as I showed before, fully functional. Gotta clean the back of it, but I'll do that when I do the final detail. But fully functional, no tears, no rips. Let's take a quick look from the other side. Little things like this, they make a big difference in selling cars, and that's something a lot of dealers don't understand. It takes not much time and not much money at all to fix something like that instead of just selling it as is. It makes people's impression of the vehicle and the maintenance of the vehicle a lot better. All right, so today will be the second day I've actually spent any time working on this Pilot. The only thing it needs is the rear differential fluid changed out, which I'm going to do today, and which is very easy on these, and not a bad idea to do it every 30,000 miles anyway. But the issue this one's having, I'm not sure if I mentioned it earlier in the video, it's making almost like a grinding noise. I don't want to call it a grinding, it's much worse than what it's making. It's almost like a slip, not in the transmission, in the rear diff when you take a sharp turn. And research told me that that happens with these if the fluid is contaminated, and that can happen from water getting into it or whatever. And the previous and original owner of this Pilot used it to put his boat in all the time. So there you go, there's your answer. The fluid must have got some contamination in it. Besides a sharp turn like that, there's no other weird noise, no whirring or anything like that coming from the rear differential. So I'm pretty sure that doing a flush refill, maybe a second flush for good measure. And I say flush, I'm not talking with some machine at Jiffy Lube. I'm talking with just a transfer pump, draining it, filling it, draining it, filling it. I think that will take care of our issue with that. I just want to bang out a few of these items in the Pilot, so it's pretty much ready to go. I'll have not even a half day of labor into this thing. You know, should make at least a couple $1,000 off it. All right, I've got the Pilot set up here. My little Big Al's Bike and Auto Edition ramps. It may not look very safe, but it is safe enough. I mean, the rear end really isn't up at all. My driveway is sloped down toward the street, so I just had to get it leveled out. And the reason you want to level it, obviously, what I'm doing, by the way, is I'm changing the differential fluid, the rear differential fluid. And you want to have it level, so obviously when you refill it, you want to make sure the reading's correct and it's coming out the fill cap at the top, the fill plug. If you have it at a slope, if you just put it up on the ramps, have the ass end way up or way down, it's not going to give you an accurate reading. And plus, even just being a little bit up on those ramps like I am gives me just enough room to get underneath here and do this. So very simple on these Pilots. Some people tell you to take down the spare tire. I find that you don't have to, especially if you use the kind of pump that I have, which is just the rubber hose, flexible hose. But we've got 2 plugs here, drain and fill. And I always had to take out the fill plug first, because if I can't get that out for some reason, I don't want to have this already drained, and then I'm really in trouble. What you use to get that out is a 3/8 ratchet. A breaker bar is more ideal. I don't have mine here at my house, so hopefully this will get it done. If not, I'll have to go get my breaker bar. But 3/8 head, that's the key to get that undone. And again, once I know I've got the top one out, then I go for the bottom one. Let it drain out. And then once it's done draining, I mean, this is common sense, put the drain plug back in, put the little hose in, pump. The key thing is with this job is you got to use the VTM4 Honda fluid. Don't use something from the parts store. It's got to be the VTM4 fluid. I think this has a new muffler. Nice. Otherwise, you'll be having all kinds of issues with that differential. All right, so I've got both the upper and lower plug out.
Now I'm just holding the lower plug and letting the fluid come out slowly because I have this little tiny pan here at my house, and if I just let that come right out, it's going to go way over the pan and splash my blanket here. So not a bad idea to do it that way anyway, but you can see the fluid's not bad. I mean, it's actually, usually if I do these at all, this differential fluid change on a Pilot or something like this, usually the fluid's like still brand new looking, and this one's actually a little dirty. But again, we are having that slippage issue, and I think that has to do with this being contaminated. You can see all the rust just in the back here, whereas the rest of the Pilot is immaculate, and that's because, again, they use this to launch their boats. So it's a good possibility that some water got into this and contaminated the fluid, and that's what's causing it to act up the way it is. But that should be more of a strawberry color. You can see it's kind of brown, so I'm glad I'm changing it anyway. And just so you can see, this is what the bottom plug looks like when you take it out. A little bit of shavings on here. That's about what you typically expect to see on a 100,000+ mile differential. Nothing alarming whatsoever. I'm gonna wipe this off, of course, before I put it back in, and also change the washers. All right, just so you can see a comparison of the color, this is new genuine Honda VTM4 fluid. You can pick this up right at your dealership for a few dollars more. Literally, it was like $5 more than getting it online, and instant gratification, which is what I'm all about. So didn't have to wait for that to come in the mail. This is nice, new, clean fluid. It's even a little bit lighter, actually. The plastic of the tubing here kind of makes it look otherwise. And there's the old stuff. So you can see, not terrible. It's coming out. It's not like it's black or brown, but, you know, obviously it's probably got at least 30,000 miles on it. Since we do have a contamination issue here in the differential, I'm going to pump just a little bit of clean fluid through to help push out, well, she doesn't want to stay, but oh boy, there we go. So anyway, I'm going to pump a little bit of new fluid in there to help flush out the older fluid, and once I see it coming out nice and clean, I know at that point that I've gotten it all out. All right, so you can see I've got the drain plug, the bottom, the drain plug back in, and torqued down the spec. It's 35 foot-pounds, and I filled it until, as you can see, it starts coming out the top. Now sometimes, depending on the pump you're using, you can get a splash. This will splash out and you think it's full, but it's not. So I like to wait just to make sure, but I've been pumping for a while, so I'm fairly confident that it is actually full. But once that stops dripping out, I'll do it one more time just to make sure it is full, and throw the top plug back in, and then all we have to do from there is take it for a drive and make sure we've taken care of the problem. All right, so I'm out in the Pilot. I'm about to replicate the issue I was having. Well, hopefully I don't replicate it, which is, you know, slow speed turns on the gas. Will it make that kind of clutch slippage? Nope. Beautiful. This is exactly what I used to do, and not even to this extent of extremity, but, you know, a sharp turn like this on the gas, you'd hear like a, I don't know, like a grind or a, you know, it was like almost like a grinding sound. It wasn't a very pleasant sound, and that has gone away. And again, I didn't see anything alarming within the differential. Yeah, it's fixed. Beautiful. Okay, that's great. Always good when something is as simple as just a fluid change. And again, this isn't just me getting lucky. This is common. This happens to these Pilots, and people that use Pilots to put their boat in the water like this person did. It's not uncommon for water to get into the differential, and I think that's exactly what happened here. Fluids changed, and now the issue no longer exists. Just got to finish giving this thing a polish, and the interior is already very clean, so nothing to do here. Here's that nice replacement back seat. This thing, as far as I'm concerned, is about ready to put up for sale. All right, so here is the Pilot after a good pressure washing, a little bit of soap. You can see she comes right back to life here. Look at the shine on that paint. You can see my girlfriend sitting there, not helping, and yeah, lots of tree sap and stuff had to come off the paint. The hood We'll see how it looks when it dries. We'll see how much of that hazing returns. I'm willing to bet that most of it will, but you can see it's got potential to be restored. If you can wet it like that and it looks that good, usually a polish will bring it back to almost this shine. Headlights are looking better. They're yellowed, but believe me, they were covered in a lot of dirt too. You can see, again, definitely in nice shape, cleans up real well. Let's take a look at the passenger side. Besides that nice big dent there on the fender. When it dries, you're going to see areas that are faded, like right here, but I don't think I have to do as much polishing work to this as I thought initially. I'll probably do the real bad areas like the hood and maybe the front of the roof, and leave it at that. So nice and shiny. I got the badge, I have to put that on there, I keep forgetting. All right, so I wasn't expecting to end the video this way, but the Pilot sold. It hasn't even been 24 hours since I put it up for sale. I was gonna take a little bit of footage of me giving it a full polish and stuff like that. I gave it that quick wash I showed in the video the other day. It looked a lot better, but there was still a little bit of haze on the hood. And I put it up for sale late last night, got a bunch of inquiries about it, and I had 2 appointments already scheduled from last night for today. One at 5 p.m., one at 6 p.m. Got up today, had a busy day, but toward the end of the day, I started polishing it. And this was like 30 minutes before that 5 o'clock appointment. And I was almost hoping the guy was going to cancel or be late, but he ended up being early. So I didn't even have a chance to take any footage of what I had done, but I got the hood looking a little bit better. There was a few spots where it kind of started to burn through the clear. I wasn't able to get out, but the rest of the hood polished up real nice. Didn't even get a chance to get to the roof, but fortunately, the guy that bought it didn't really care about the cosmetic condition at all. He only cared about the mechanical. Took the car for a good test drive. His story is that he only 3 weeks ago bought a Nissan Pathfinder that the person that sold it to him was dishonest. No surprise, it's South Florida. And he's already put like $2,000 into it on top of the $3,500 he paid. It was an 05 Pathfinder. It was overheating. The whole front end was shot on it. The lower control arms, bunch of stuff. This guy put all the money into it and it's still overheating. So he really needs reliable transportation for his work. And he didn't, he just started looking again for something else and took a chance with me. I've got a good reputation in town. So I think he saw that. Came down here, saw the Pilot, and I listed it for $3,500. I was expecting to get anywhere from 28, 27 to 32. And I sold it for $3,250. And I probably could have got 35 for it. I had the upper hand in negotiation. He wasn't a very good negotiator. I kind of saw through his poker face, but I kind of felt bad for him. You know what I mean? He's already dumped $2,000 into that money pit. I know it's a good vehicle. It was religiously maintained by its previous and original owners. So I felt really good selling him this car because I know it's not going to give him any issues. And when I sell cars, that's the way I sell them. If I feel like they may have issues come up down the road, I let the buyer know, hey, right now the car is doing fine, but because it's this model this year, or because I saw this, there is a possibility that down the road you may have to replace this, this, and that. And with this vehicle, I mean, it's really had all the problem areas taken care of. It had a recent timing belt and water pump done. The transmission was put, a reman transmission was put in by Honda. And those are really the 2 big weak spots on this vehicle. So I'm really happy I was able to hook this guy up with a good vehicle. It sounds like he needs it. He was super grateful. He's really excited about it. And again, the service history doesn't lie. He's able to follow the paper trail, see all the work this Pilot's had done, and being that the miles are so low on it, I see these things with over 400,000 miles on them all the time. I really love these trucks. I'm not a Honda guy, but this is like my Honda, this first gen Pilot. They're awesome, awesome vehicles. They drive like American SUVs, and they're extremely durable besides the transmission. So when you find them like this one, where it's had a reman put in and been religiously serviced, that car will go forever and ever and ever. And I'm excited for him. I know it went to a good home. But that's the deal. I was hoping to end the video with a little bit more detailing footage. I didn't even get the chance, and I just ended up with the perfect buyer who didn't care. I mean, he literally didn't even look at the body for more than a second. He was right to the mechanical and test driving it. He gave it a real good shakedown. We were out for at least 25 minutes, and I was happy, you know, because I could tell that he could tell that it was a good vehicle, you know. So anyway, guys, that's gonna do it. Pilot's out of here, $32.50. I've got the cash money right here to prove it. I'll be uploading a video of the next car very soon. It's nothing special. It's kind of cool, real cheap, kind of like beater entry-level car. To be honest, I didn't even want this. I was actually up in Broward looking at another vehicle for inventory back when I picked this thing up. That person had to cancel on me at the last minute. I was kind of bummed out. I was already up there in Broward. It's a far drive, and I said, well, geez, let me hop on Craigslist, offer up. And this little car came up, and it was priced cheap. It looked pretty clean in the pictures. It ended up being kind of a POS, but I got it for less than scrap value. And it's a good runner. It's a good driver. It needs a few things. I started on it. I have the footage of what I've done so far. Now everybody got their $600 stimulus check. At least a lot of people did. It's a question of, do I just let this thing go for $600? Because I'm only into it for $150. And I've got nothing into it parts wise, maybe 15, 20 bucks. It came with almost a full tank of gas. I haven't even put gas in the thing. So do I sell it for a quick $600, not spend any more time on it because it's probably what the car is worth no matter what I do to it? Or do I do a little more work to it and try to get maybe $1,000? I'm leaning toward the $600 and sell, but we'll see. So that will be coming out to you soon. Thanks for watching, and keep an eye out for the next one.